Apex sometimes lets us do stuff beyond Battle Royale, and especially back in the early days of Apex, it wasn't rare to see a single player experience here and there. So let's talk about some weird locations and experiences that you've probably never ever seen. Like a secret apartment located right here in Bonsai Plaza, which you used to be able to enter. Essentially, when Horizon came out in Season 7, she had a few missions at the end of the season, where you could collect data related to her son. And the conclusion of these missions would allow you to temporarily enter a secret area on Olympus, which was Horizon's apartment located in Bonsai Plaza. You could literally look out the apartment and look over the map, and this experience was only in the game for a few weeks, so only a few players have gone to Horizon's apartment. Surprisingly, Respawn have made much bigger single player areas, especially back in Season 5, when we got our craziest single player mission ever in Apex. But first, Apex has a little bit of a reputation for bad servers, and I have been the victim to this a few times. So you may ask yourself, is there a way I can get better connection? And it turns out there is, through GearUP Booster, which I've been using, and it does make a noticeable difference in your ping when you're using it. I usually play US East servers to play with my friends, and that means I do have a high ping because I live far away from there. But honestly, when I used GearUP Booster, there was a noticeable difference in ping. These videos were taken 5 minutes apart, with the only difference being me turning on GearUP Booster. So it helps you with cross-region play, and even if you're playing in your own region, there is a noticeable ping difference. When I used GearUP Booster in EU servers, I noticed a 10 ping difference, and also a lot less packet loss. Granted, my network is pretty good, but if you have a worse network, you might see better results. Also, TSM has partnered with GearUP before, and I have as well, and a few of you enjoyed it, so definitely give it a try with the link in the description, which will give you a free trial and 60% off. Give it a try and see if it fixes your high ping, packet loss, and cross-region issues, because it helped mine. Thank you GearUP for sponsoring this video. Back onto the craziest single player area in Apex though, this was the Broken Ghost storyline. Essentially throughout Season 5 we got a selection of single player missions where you would infill into an area with PvE enemies like prowlers, you would drill, find a relic and leave. You would do this for a few weeks in a row until you would finally unlock the final mission of the Broken Ghost storyline, where you entered a facility which was literally purpose built for this mission. We didn't see it outside of this mission and we didn't see it before this mission, nor did we see it after. When you entered the facility, you navigated it, it was cool, it was broken down, and as you explored this facility, you would start to hear a familiar voice. Ash from Titanfall 2. I mean, at least that's what we said at the time. She wasn't in Apex. As players went further into the facility, they would end up in this final area, which is beautiful. It's a shame we never saw this area again in Apex, and Ash was in the middle without a head. And then it will be revealed to the player that the thing they were building with all the artifacts that they were drilling was Ash's head, so the players gave Ash her head, and then completed the Broken Ghost storyline. I mean, seriously, you have to realize how crazy this was back in Season 5. Just put yourself in the shoes as someone playing Season 5 of Apex. There were hardly any Titanfall references, we had no Titanfall related legends, and then suddenly you walk into an underground facility and rebuild Ash, someone you probably killed only a few years ago, back in Titanfall 2. This was a crazy Apex moment, and it's clear since this mission, Apex has become a lot more intertwined with Titanfall. I mean, we literally have Viper's daughter in the game, we have Ash in the game, we also have Alta in the game, who I'm pretty sure stole an artifact from this map on Titanfall 2. It's just become a lot more connected with Titanfall. Speaking of Season 5 though, on the run up to Season 5, Respawn were teasing Loba pretty heavily, to the point where one of the teasers for Loba was literally just her showing up in the lobby a season before she came out, but the craziest teaser looking back on it was this one right here that took place in one of the vaults on Kings Canyon. Essentially back in Season 4, if you went to this vault right here and interacted with this bracelet right here, it would teleport you into an area only accessible via this teaser. This area was a stalker factory, and you were only allowed in there for a very limited amount of time before Loba's bracelet teleported you out, and it definitely gave people a big hint of Loba's lore, especially the aspect that she was hunting down robot factories to try to find the one producing Revenant's bodies. Back in Season 10 though, there was an area which a lot of you probably didn't go to because it took a fair amount of effort, but when you got there, it was pretty ethereal. This was the Bloodhound Chronicle event area. This area was only accessible through a single player mission, of which the mission could only be activated after completing a few challenges. To start the mission, you would enter a drop ship in the firing range, which would take you to somewhere, I assume, on World's Edge, where you would explore an ice cave while a white raven talked to you. So I assume Bloodhound did some sort of insane drug in the ship which caused this. As you traverse the cave, you would be following a blood trail left by an injured prowler, and as you got deeper into the cave, it became less icy and more thermal. It was actually quite a long cave considering it was for a one-off mission, and it's pretty visually stunning. At the end of the cave, you would find the injured prowler, which you have the opportunity to interact with, and this is where it gets weird, and I think Bloodhound's drugs kick in a bit more, as when you touch the prowler, the white raven starts telling you you're a failure. He wanted Bloodhound to have a bad trip, and essentially Bloodhound saw this. Several floating bloodhounds in the air disappearing as Bloodhound is told they are a failure. As they disappear, Bloodhound starts to realize that no, they're not a god, but they are bloodhounds, and they want to do the best for their family and people that care about them, and also their clan. And as the final bloodhound disappears, Bloodhound comforts the dying prowler as the screen fades to black and then shows the Apex logo. This was a really cool single player thing, great for lore, and it's a shame that Respawn have stopped doing them, but honestly, I didn't see many people talking about this event, and for the amount of effort that went into them, I almost understand why Respawn stopped them, but I really wish they still did them. There was one area that was used for a teaser that you could only enter once though, that people liked so much, they modded it into Apex, as back in Season 8, there was a teaser for arenas called Decrypt the Passcode, where you would have to go to several hollow sprays that look like this around the map, and activate them, which would start decrypting the passcode. After you decrypted the passcode, you could go into the firing range, and enter a ship that would take you to an undisclosed location. We don't know where this place is, and we'll probably never know. When you landed at this location, you only had one area that you could go to, the lift, so naturally most people went onto the lift, which took you up to an arena where Ash would announce Arenas is coming to Apex. And then, just like that, we never saw this map again, and Respawn didn't even add it as an Arenas map. People were that bummed out that Respawn didn't add it as an Arenas map. The development team over at R5 Reloaded, which is a modded version of Apex, actually remastered it and added it as a map that you can play in, and they host many modes in this map, so it's nice that this is the only map that we can still revisit to this day. But the rest of the maps on this video cannot be revisited, much like the absolutely huge map from the Kill Code event in Apex. If you're not aware, a few years ago in Apex we had a story arc called Kill Code, where Respawn made several animations for it, and eventually it resulted in them adding a whole single player mission to the game with a cutscene. Seriously, Respawn made a cutscene for the first time in Apex's history, and then never made one again. When Respawn added this single player mission, it could be started from the lobby, and it said it took place at an unknown facility. When you started this mission, you would be greeted with a cutscene which was crazy at the time, and then you would be thrown into the boots of Loba, who had to explore this facility and figure out the puzzles to make her way through it. It's actually insane how much effort Respawn put into this single player mission, and it makes me question why they put so much effort into the lore and story and single player elements of Apex to just never do it again. This mission actually ends with you finding Revenant's head in an area very similar to Loba's original teaser area. The end of this mission was essentially made to tease Revenant Reborn, as it was revealed Eduardo Silva was creating bodies for Revenant, and it seemed these bodies were a new version, aka Revenant Reborn. It's so crazy to me that Respawn did all this and then essentially forgot the lore existed. The final secret area that you won't be able to go back to is the Hestia crash site though, as back in Season 12, Respawn released a set of missions which showed Bangalore tackling her grief about her brother Jackson dying, who didn't actually die. He came back 2 seasons later, but that's not the point here. In these missions, you had to do firing range drills, and within these drills, Bangalore would give you some exposition while you did them, and then eventually, after you did all of these drills, you would unlock one final area, the Hestia crash site. You were able to enter this mission through the lobby, and it would be called the finale, and it took you to the crash site point of interest on Storm Point. but it was different. It had a different skybox, it had different lighting, it was on a different map, and it was cleaned up a bit. So essentially, this was a unique map just for this mission. And in this mission, Bangalore would do an official send-off to her brother, which was really emotional, but it made it mad funny when he literally came back 2 seasons later, regardless of this whole mission arc. And when you finish this small mission, it once again would show the Apex Legends logo and fade to black. Respawn did try to do single player story missions, as we can see with the Bloodhound one, the Bangalore one, and the Loba one, but for some reason they gave up, probably because they didn't do as well as they thought they would. But subscribe if you want to go to any of these areas that aren't accessible anymore.